never thought I'd be the doctor who'd trade her oath for stolen moments with the men she swore to heal. My name's Dr. Olivia Grant, and this is my confession, raw and unfiltered, a story of betrayal so sharp it cut through my vows and left me in ruins. If you're watching, you're already hooked, caught in a truth that feels like duty until it's a chain around your soul. This isn't about love or redemption. It's about infidelity, the kind that blinds you and dares you to fall. Stay with me because this one's going to unravel you. It's a tale of healing lust and a sin I couldn't bury. It was a humid September evening in Miami, Florida, the air thick with salt and the hum of hospital machinery. I was 36, a cardiologist married to David, 38, a steady engineer whose love had grown quiet over years of my long shifts. The hospital was my world, its sterile halls a place of purpose, until it became a stage for my desires. My patients, men from all walks of life, came to me vulnerable, their trust in my hands. Two of them, Michael, 30, a rugged firefighter recovering from a minor heart scare, and Ethan, 28, a charming artist with a valve issue, became my undoing. It started with Michael. The exam room was cool, the fluorescent lights harsh, the air heavy with antiseptic and tension. I wore my white coat, my hair tied back, my professionalism a mask. Michael sat on the exam table, his shirt off his chest, scarred but strong. "You're saving me, Doc," he said, his voice low, his hazel eyes locking on mine. His hand brushed mine as I adjusted the stethoscope, a spark that hit like a storm. I told myself to stay clinical, to think of David, but Michael's vulnerability, his strength, it was too much. The room was silent, the hospital's hum, distant, the air thick with antiseptic and want. Michael leaned closer, his hand grazing my arm, his gaze piercing. "You feel it too," he said, his tone daring, his breath warm. My wedding ring felt heavy, a reminder of David, but my longing was louder, a whisper I couldn't silence. I nodded, my silence a confession. His smile was slow, dangerous, like he'd seen my weakness. We slipped to a private consult room, the air thick with paper and desire, the night shielding us. Michael's hand slid to my waist, his fingers warm through the coat, a spark that burned through my oath. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, his lips close, his breath hot with adrenaline and need. I didn't. My hands found his chest, the skin rough, his pulse strong. The fluorescent lights flickered, the hospital still, and I was already lost. His kiss was a collision, fierce and reckless, tasting of salt and sin. My hand slid up his neck, pulling him closer, the desk cool behind me. The night pulsed, the air heavy as his lips trailed to my throat, his hands bold, each touch a pulse of pleasure and betrayal. I was drowning, and Michael was the tide pulling me into a sea of want. David's face, our marriage faded, leaving only him, his heat, my hunger. His kiss was a wildfire burning through my loyalty to David. Michael's hands were bold, tugging at my coat, his fingers grazing my skin through the fabric. The consult room was a haze, the monitors casting shadows that danced like secrets. My hands roamed his chest, the scars rough under my touch, his breath hitching. The salt air matched my racing heart, the air thick with antiseptic and desire. His lips were everywhere, my jaw, my collarbone, each kiss a claim, each touch a vow shattered. Then came Ethan. A week later, in another exam room, his artist's hands trembling as I checked his chart. His dark eyes held a quiet intensity, his smile soft but provocative. "You make this bearable," he said, his hand brushing mine as I handed him a form. The spark was different, softer, but just as dangerous. We ended up in the same consult room, the air heavy with ink and want, his touch gentle but searing. His kisses were slow, deliberate tasting of mint and sin, pulling me deeper into the abyss. The consult room became my sanctuary, a place where Michael and Ethan separately became my escape. With Michael, it was raw, urgent, his hands rough, his groans sharp against the sterile walls. With Ethan, it was tender, consuming his fingers, tracing my skin, his whispers soft in the quiet space. My coat was gone, discarded in the haze, revealing lace that made their breaths catch. My hands explored their bodies, greedy, memorizing every muscle, every shudder. The guilt was there, cold and sharp, but my desire fueled every touch, every move. The hospital was our world, the patients and staff a distant hum. I pressed Michael against the desk, Ethan against the wall, my body molding to theirs, the lace, a tease I couldn't control. Their lips found mine hungry, demanding each encounter a collision of need and betrayal. The monitors glowed, painting us in blue and shadow, turning our sin into something almost beautiful. But it wasn't. It was reckless, forbidden, a betrayal of my oath and my marriage. Olivia, Michael growled. Ethan whispered my name, a spell in their voices. My fingers tangled in their hair, my body arching into theirs, a demand they couldn't resist. The night was suffocating the hospital, relentless as my hands gripped their shoulders, their closed barriers I wanted to tear away. The pleasure was a storm, raw and relentless, edged with the guilt of betraying David. When it happened, it was a collision, a wave crashing over me with each man separately, fiercely. Their groans were sharp, muffled by the walls, my hands holding them tight, our bodies moving as one. The pleasure was overwhelming, a betrayal that felt like freedom. The desk creaked, the night heavy with our heat, my sin unfolding. The hospital stood still, indifferent, as I crossed lines I couldn't uncross. The Miami autumn lingered, and so did the weight of my betrayal. I left the consult room, my coat back on their scents, salt and mint clinging to me. David was at home, oblivious, his trust a knife in my chest. I tried to be the wife he deserved, cooking dinner, kissing him softly, but their touches haunted me, their faces in every shadow, every dream. The guilt was a beast clawing at me, but their fire burned brighter, a flame I couldn't douse. Our stolen moments continued, fleeting encounters in empty exam rooms, the hospital's basement, their apartments, each a spark, each fading fast, but leaving me craving more. Michael's intensity pulled me one night, Ethan's tenderness the next, each feeding a different hunger. At a hospital fundraiser, I saw them both, their eyes catching mine across the room. David was beside me, proud of my work, unaware of my secrets. Michael approached, his voice low. "You're not done," he said, his hand grazing my arm. Ethan watched, his gaze heavy, reigniting the spark. Their apartments became my refuge, the air thick with desire, their bodies glowing in the moonlight. Michael's kisses were fierce, Ethan soft, their hands tearing at my clothes. My hands roamed their bodies, greedy, the salt air and city hum, hiding our sin. The guilt was sharper now, a blade I couldn't outrun, but their touches were brands I'd never erase. David grew suspicious. "You're distant, Olivia," he said, his eyes searching mine over breakfast. I froze, his trust a contrast to my betrayal. "Just long shifts," I lied, my voice tight, my mind flashing to the consult room, their hands on my skin. His frown deepened, and I feared he saw the truth. "I love you," he said, and the words were a weight crushing me. Then it happened. David caught me, his car pulling up as I left Ethan's apartment. My coat rumpled, Ethan's silhouette in the doorway. "Olivia," he shouted, his face crumpling, his pain a mirror of my guilt. I froze, my sin unraveling, his trust shattered. "Them," he whispered, tears in his eyes, and I couldn't answer. I told them it was over. Michael stood in the hospital parking lot, Ethan in his studio, their eyes blazing. "You'll miss this," Michael said, Ethan nodding silently. They left a stethoscope charm behind their initials scratched into it, tucked into my bag. I should have thrown it away, but I kept it a secret that scorched. The Miami heat lingered, and so did my shame, a fire I couldn't quench. David confronted me. "How many?" he asked, holding the charm, his voice trembling. I froze my sin, unraveling his trust, a mirror of my guilt. I confessed not all, but enough, admitting to Michael and Ethan my weakness, my betrayal. He left, his face broken, our marriage over. I was alone, the charm in my hand, their sense a ghost I'd never escape. This is my story, a warning to anyone who thinks duty can shield you from desire. If you've watched this far, you know that betrayal, that ache for what you shouldn't take. So hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, call me a fool, a sinner, or just a doctor who fell. Like the video or don't, but share it with someone who's felt infidelity's sting. Check out my other stories, they're just as raw, just as real. Ever let forbidden desire consume you? Spill your secrets below. I'm listening, and I've been there.